Well, this is a very special occasion because I'm here in Durham, North Carolina with my daughter and son-in-law, and we're here for a very special occasion because we're going to have a reveal over the weekend, which means, yes, there is a grandchild in the works, and of course, Denise and I are extremely happy about that. She already has her grandparent name, and I'm still working on mine, and everything that I come up with seems to get rejected, but hey, we're going to figure that out. Today, though, we're here to talk to Charlton, who is a college football coach. And it is a stressful career, but also an exciting career. Yep. And you have done a lot of things, and this is just one of the many things that you have excelled at. So tell the audience a little bit about how you got to this point.
You know, what I'm doing right now, which I love, is something I never thought I would be doing. And so I went to the Air Force Academy, had a great career playing football there as a defensive back. Graduated, was an engineering major, went off into the Air Force. My first 3 years, I was an acquisitions program manager, managed several multi-million-dollar programs across avionics, weapons, sort of found my niche in the weapons world, guided bombs, laser guided bombs, air-to-ground missiles, and from there, then 9/11 happened. Mm-hmm. And that struck America, it struck me a certain way. And from there, I decided to go into Special Forces. And once that happened, my whole life changed. I was jumping out of airplanes, doing drone strikes in Baghdad and Fallujah, and really spent those 3 years of my life really defending our country. After doing that for 3 years, I sort of needed a break in the Air Force, and they sent me back to the Air Force Academy, where I fell in love with coaching. I was active through the military. I was a major in the Air Force. And coming off that 3-year run overseas and doing Special Forces, I had a chance to go back and reconnect with young men. I had a chance to recruit them, coach them, mentor and develop them. And it's one of those careers that I never knew I would get into. I instantly fell in love with. After 3 years, it was time for me to go on to become a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. And I said, you know what? I want to get out, become a civilian, and coach for a living. Coached there for 9 years, started to move back east to Nebraska, took a job at University of Tennessee, was at University of Florida, University of Georgia, Indiana University, and now I'm at North Carolina State. Had a great 20-year career so far of coaching, but it's really strange. Like I said, it's something I never thought I would be doing when I left high school, and it's all I want to do right now.
You know, one of the most, I think one of the things I would have the hardest time adjusting to is all the moves. Yeah. Because even if you're a head coach or defensive coordinator, there's always the uncertainty.
That's right.
So how do you manage that, and how do you keep it in perspective? And having a family and uprooting, how do you do that and not get attached to anything?
I tell you, it really started in the military. Every 2 to 3 years, you're moving in the military. So you sort of focus yourself that while I'm here, I'm going to be all in, be very dedicated to what I'm doing, be all in, mm-hmm. but knowing that it's going to change.
Right.
And so I think I took the same perspective of coaching. I'm all in, don't know if it's going to be for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, but I'm going to give it everything I have during that time period, but I'm already preparing for change. And I think the military sort of put that mindset in me from the very beginning to do as much as you can, as hard as you can, for as long as you can. But when it's time to go, you change. That has really helped me in my coaching career, for me not to get so attached to necessarily the place, but be really attached to the mission of developing young men and winning football games.
And when you talk about that development piece, what is some of the things that you try to pass on to these young men? Because we know everybody who plays wants to get to the next level.
That's right.
We know everybody's not going to get there. So what's that speech like, preparing them not only to be successful while they're there in college, but realizing that there may be a transition where they're transitioning out of football?
As I recruit and as I coach these young men, the one thing I tell them is perspective. You want to go as hard as you can. You want to be as great as you can be, but also know what the odds are at the end. Mm-hmm. You can have an unbelievable college career and not make it to the NFL. And the one thing I promise the parents, to grandparents, to players is that when you leave me, you will be prepared. If you are blessed enough to have the opportunity to go to NFL, I would have coached you, trained you, and mentally prepared you to succeed at that level. If you don't go to the NFL, I've also prepared you to be a really good young man. I've prepared you to be a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman. Whatever you leave this room of mine, you will be prepared for life. And that's really what development is. Prepare a 17, 18-year-old man to be prepared to take on life. It may be a life in the NFL, but even then, the NFL could be 1 year, 2 years. You still have a lot of years to go forth and conquer. So my talk to them in development is life. The dream is the NFL. The goal is a degree to be a great young man once you leave these walls and go forth and do something productive in society.
Something that I always see when I'm watching the kids today in the NIL, you can't get away from that. You've got these young kids now, they're millionaires, and they're 17, 18, 20 years old. How do you harness all of that, financial wealth that they have, but at the same time, they're still don't have that maturity level to really take on all that responsibility?
Well, one, I think, is we set up programs of financial literacy to begin with, to help these young men understand how to manage a bank account, investments, things that will prepare them for the future financially. But also, at the end of the day, these are still young kids. They want to play football. And so we can never lose sight that the greatest equalizer when you're talking about negotiating money or how much you're going to get paid is playing time. They all want to play. So I think that when you boil down all the adult side of how the business of college football has changed, they still want to get on the field on Saturdays, play in front of 85,000 people, be on national TV, and help their teammates win games. And sometimes with all the talk and chatter, we sort of get away from that. But at the core, when these young men are training year round, think about it. They train 3/4 of the year for 12 opportunities.
Right.
12 weeks of competition, and all the other weeks of the year, they're training and grinding. So they still have a love of the game. It's just that now they're getting compensated.
Okay. Now, you're in the ACC, Louisville's in the SEC. The one good thing I can say is you chose a good coach. So I can't go wrong whether it's NC State or U of L. And of course, I'm always pulling for NC State. But what does the conference look like for you this year? Because you've got a lot of young players on your team coming in.
Right. I tell you, I'm really looking forward to young guys having a chance to prove themselves on the field of battle. We have an unbelievable schedule. This league, the ACC, from having a chance to play teams like Clemson and Louisville and Miami and Florida State, NC State. We go up and down the East Coast. You bring in a Notre Dame. Now with the influx of the West Coast teams of Cal and Stanford and SMU, this is a great conference. And the conference focuses on winning and competition, but also academics. And you look at a lot of universities, there's great academic history, a lot of the schools in the ACC, but also the competition level that you see from all the games throughout the year. So we have a young team, we have a competitive team, a hungry team. And so I think our schedule and our conference allows us to go see what we're made of.
Okay. You're really excelling at what you do. 5-year plan. I'm asking, as a father-in-law, because I want to be close to our future grandkid.
Right.
But do you see pro football, or you want to stay in the college ranks, or what's the difference between the two from your perspective?
I always say in every job I have, what I want to do is be the best assistant coach, co-defensive coordinator, secondary coach I can be where I'm at. And if I do that, everything else takes care of itself. Okay. I have success, the team has success, we all win, and there will be opportunities to do things later in life. I'm solely focused on what I'm doing now, but knowing that if I do as good of a job I can and we all benefit, there will be opportunities to be a defensive coordinator, head coach down the road. But for me, I'm firmly planted where my feet are. And I think the pro game is awesome, but I am so into developing young men and having a chance to meet a mom, a dad, a grandparent at 15 years old, develop a relationship, cultivate that while they go through high school, get them to campus, see them grow into young men, from young men to men, and go off and conquer the world. So I'm more drawn to that aspect. But obviously the NFL is a big fish. It's the highest level of football out there. So that's always in the mirror. But right now, it's just developing these young men.
Okay. So your first game is coming up soon, and who are you playing?
We have East Carolina,
Okay.
and that'll be a rematch of the bowl game. In-state, a couple hours down the road. So those games, there's always a lot of energy, a lot of talking. But I think our guys have taken a very mature approach this offseason to doesn't matter who we play, it's how we play.
Okay.
And that's really what it's about for us. The logo doesn't matter of the other team. Someone's going to show up in our house and try to take something from us. And we take that person, whoever it is. And for us, it's nameless, faceless opponents. It's all about what we do. If we do what we're supposed to do at the highest level possible, we'll be okay. The opponent doesn't matter. Now, we know it's an in-state rival. We know there's a chip there, and that's great. But for us, it's more about focus on us and less on the opponent to get the job done.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to the game, and we're actually planning on being here.
No doubt.
So, again, like I said, it's so easy to dress for NC State because this red and black just seems to fit. So,
Just make sure we have a wolf and not a cardinal.
no question,
all right,
no
just
question.
make
I've
sure.
already got my gear.
Okay.
Already got my gear. Well, thanks for spending some time with us.
No doubt.
And we're going to take a quick break and back with more of Urban Lifestyles in just a few minutes.